Well, here we are, June 16th, 2022. My name's Larissa, and yes, I have furry animal ears on my head. We call our property the Kitty Pants Ranch, after our late kitty, Miss Kitty Pants, Miss Cinnamon Pumpkin Kitty Pants. Yep. And I got my kitty pants on. Hey, you gotta, it's too far away. You gotta bring it up here closer. Brody wants to play ball. So yesterday, finished off reading the book Consenting Adults, right? Finished that one off. Met Stuart. Over the past 4 years, I have written a total of 6 books, 3 full-length novels, 4 full-length novels, an anthropological culinary textbook, complete with annotation and index and cross-references. Yeah. And hey, he's trying to put it right next to me on the bench here, and it keeps rolling away. Buddy, it's not totally flush here, so it rolls off. I can't reach it. Oh, I can't reach it. You gotta bring it. You gotta bring it closer. Where is it? Where is it? Bring it here. Put it here. Can you put it here? Poor Brody. And then my collection of vignettes. And I have the first one, the first novel when I was writing it. Okay, I see you have it. The first novel is called Passion's Torrent, and it was written during Lent. I have a Lenten practice, a personal way that, as an artist and as a I consider myself a practicing Catholic. I do, even though I don't attend Mass. And particularly in the Bay Area right now, given what, Bug Corleone's got up his butt, I'm not sure how many churches you can attend Mass and actually be practicing. And when it comes down to it, faith is about personal conviction and personal relationship. I mean, that's what Vatican II was about, right? That was what was so controversial about John Paul, was that he said that the most important thing was the individual's personal relationship with God, and that cannot be dictated by anyone other than the individual, and so you must make all choices out of conscience, and that is your right of conscience, and it's one of the major tenets of Catholicism, and is one of the reasons I returned and why I don't just abandon, right? Because I truly believe in my right of conscience. I believe that as a human right. And if we were going to talk about human rights, I believe that right of conscience is a human right. Anyway, I added writing to my Lenten practice 4 years ago, and so the first one is called Passion's Torrent. The second book I wrote was called Patent Leather Jean. The third book I wrote is called Luck of the Draw. The fourth book I wrote was The Cookbook. The fifth book I wrote, it's a culinary text. It has recipes in it, and you can look up recipes and cook recipes out of it, but it's more than that. It follows, like I said, anthropology and history and methodology, and it's a little more comprehensive than that, and also embraces cultural traditions and religious traditions. And then the fifth one I wrote is called, what's that one called? Songbird at Rest, and that one is probably my favorite out of all of them. I don't know. I think starting next week, or maybe even the next time I decide to sit down and do one of these things, right? I'll start reading that, sharing that book, Songbird at Rest. It deals with some very, very contemporary issues here, particularly in California, but it will be relatable. It can be relatable by a lot of people. Climate change is definitely a character in the book, though it is never directly spoken about, and it is written from the perspective of mostly from the perspective of, well, if I tell you, it kind of ruins the surprise, so I won't. The main character, the woman, right? But my process when I sit down to write, when I sit down to write a book, they usually happen pretty fast. Like I'm really quick. It's like it comes out of me, and it's like you catch the spirit, right? And it's been that way. Like when I self-published my poetry chapbook, Sophia Was Pushed, but the Moon Broke Her Fall. That book was, oh Brody, buddy, look, he did it again. It's down there. It's so far away. He's so good. He is so good. I wrote those poems. I was writing those poems with a poetry group that is organized. Was organized. I don't know if they're still around. The Full Moon Poetry Society. And are they? I think that they have ads in Shambhala. I think. Anyway. Those were poems that I was mostly were poems that I was writing on the full moon, and a lot of them were about the moon. Like I didn't realize, like at first, I was a dippy broad at first. I didn't realize. Finally, the woman that organized it, she said, she's like, you don't have to write about the moon. We're just writing on the full moon. I was like, oh, okay, but most of the poems that I was writing were about the moon, and well. They were about the moon, yeah. They were about the moon and outer space. But that's where those came from. My writing process, like, I listen for what it is I'm supposed to write. Right? I don't think about it too much, and it comes out. I mean, it just lickety split. And I sit down and write 10 pages in like a couple hours. Like it's nothing. Finish a novel in a week, first draft. That's pretty good. Like when the spirit hits, and when I feel like I have a story that is bubbling to come out. Where is it, buddy? Where'd you put it? Is it underneath the bench? Buddy, I don't see where it is. Oh, there it is. Brody. The dingus kerplingus. Yeah. My ears. My meow meow ears. When he saw me come out with the ears on, he was so excited. I used to, when we lived in Oakland, I had a membership to the Oakland Zoo. I loved those animals there. Loved that facility. They were also they were kind to their animals there. You did it again, silly goose. But I used to wear my ears. And the giraffes. The first time I wore my ears to the zoo, the giraffes were so funny. And there's this one that came up. There was one that had curly hairs. And his spots were different. There were two different kinds of giraffes that they had there, and he was a different kind of giraffe. Hey, put it down here. No. But he came up, and he stuck his neck out as far as he could over the fence, and he like looked at me, and he stuck his tongue out. You know how the way giraffes do, their big long tongues, and then he was flopping his ears at me. I'm like, yeah, I know. Look, the animals are funny. They're really, really funny. But Brody this morning, he was like, oh, he was all excited to see my ears. I used to wear them more often. They're just little ears on barrettes. If I'm going to be a fur mama, right? I got a t-shirt that says Fur Mom. I wear my ears with it. No, I'm not a furry. Met a couple furries, though. That's an interesting group to be a part of, isn't it? The furries. Hey, if you're having fun, do you. You, you want to wear purple furry pants and shoes that are shaped like hooves? Have at it. Have at it. Like if you can live a successful life that way, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I just have a problem with fake fur. I do. Given the state of the oceans, I got fake fur in my ears. I'm not for just, killing animals to pull their skins off either, but I think if things are done in a sustainable way and in a humane way and a non-wasteful way, leather shoes are better for the environment than the little jelly shoes I'm wearing. I'm wearing jellies. Watched the Big Lebowski last night. Yeah. My jelly shoes. Ode to the dude, right? That's just like your opinion, man. Yeah. It's a great film. It really is. It really is. It's a great film. Yeah. I can relate. And very relatable for me. Very relatable. It's like, people always want to know, how do you make money? I'm married. Nobody pays me for anything. Ever. And it sucks. And it would actually cost more money for me to go and have a part-time minimum wage job. And the only good reason for me to go do that is to go have social interaction with people. And it's not worth it, given my life experience. It's not worth it. What was the last part-time job I had? What was the last one I had? Where I actually went and worked for somebody. Oh, it was that fabric store. It was that fabric store on Piedmont Avenue. That woman. And that guy that worked, there was a guy there that worked there, and he hated me. At the time, I was still performing regularly with different, open mic venues and things. There was Thursdays I was singing at a bar in North Beach. Biker bar in North Beach. Anyway, I made all my gear and I wore it. Like, it wasn't just stage gear. I was making all my clothes. And he thought I was tacky and trashy. Well, if he had taken the time to understand, the work I was performing, it went with the work I was performing, right? And all of that stuff, I was still using working on the same concept of upcycling and recycling. It's just, my dresses and stuff were crazy. They had crazy prints, and I did all this elaborate applique work, and there was usually some sort of joke, in the applique. I had this one skirt and top set that I wore. It had strawberries on it, and I was using hand motif, and on the back I had two hands with a bird in the hand, and then on the front I had one bird in the hand in the back, on the back, and then I had on the front, right, like across my crotch, I had two birds, right. And the joke of that dress was a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, and people always gave me a double look. There was like. And the way that the birds' tails came together in the front, yeah, it was borderline. It was a dirty joke. It was a dirty joke, but it was funny. It was funny, and it wasn't, totally blatant. But it was kind of my sense of humor, icebreaker kind of thing, stuff like that. But it was, I used a lot of recycled materials, and those appliques used to take me so long to make. They were so labor intensive. Those appliques were all so labor intensive. And then I was making big floofy dresses too, and then I got into sculptural stuff when I started doing the belly dance performance. When I started doing the dance performance, So I studied Turkish form and Egyptian form, um, belly dance, and then some American tribal style, and what else? Well, of course, my ballet background, right? But, obviously I was never destined to be a ballerina. No Swan Lake for me. Where is it, buddy? You got to bring it back. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start reading my books. I tried to get them published, but every time I sent them off different places, and it's expensive to get them printed out, and never heard back from any of the publishers. And then I started talking to, self-publishing groups. They wanted so much money just to cut and paste my file into their software. And I had already tried to get some of my photo books into local bookstores, which I thought would have been easy given the fact that they were photo essays about local places. And here in Santa Cruz, I went to the bookstore. They're like, "Oh, you're not a local author." I'm like, "I own property here. I live here. I'm from Santa Cruz, right? Like, I pay property tax here." But no, they didn't want to. And they didn't like the format that I had used, the platform I had used. I'd self-published using CreateSpace. So I started calling around and talking to people, and $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to cut and paste. I wasn't even asking for editing, right? I told them, I said, if there's typos, because I go through a pretty rigorous circle of editing. I edit for myself because I've never been able to find anybody who was willing to do it for me, for pay or otherwise. I go through about like 8 or 9 rounds of editing to catch everything. I read out loud while I'm doing it, and I mark all my drafts, and so I'm pretty good. I've been an editor before, right? That was the position I held on the board of the Metal Arts Guild of San Francisco for 3 years, was the editor. And so I got skill. It's not like I don't have skill. I'm not the best at catching all the spelling. Spelling's not my strongest suit. No, it's not. But anyway, yeah, I wasn't even asking for copy editing. I just needed it to be printed, right? And that was just too much money, in my opinion, for cutting and pasting. And especially after I looked at, and I was inquiring, oh, there's something blooming. I think there's some bushes over here. I think that's what it is. They got some flowers starting to open, and my face is itching. You gotta bring it over to me, buddy. I can't throw it unless you bring it to me. You see the look on his face. He's got one lip over his tooth. What? You gotta get it. It was just, the software was only like $2,000, right? I'm gonna pay you, meaning a publisher, somebody who's bought this software for $2,000. I'm gonna pay you $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to cut and paste. It just didn't seem like a good deal. And then had to pay on top of that for each copy of the book that you had printed. And because I had the experience I'd had where nobody wanted to carry my stuff anyway, what am I going to do with all these books that nobody wants to buy or that nobody wants to sell for me? So what I ended up doing is I just published chapter by chapter on my blog as I was writing. And part of the reason I did that was also to have time date stamps on everything. So originally I was using a website service through FreeWebs, it's a template service. And then for some reason, I had a number of websites. For some reason, Vistaprint took over my website. Like, I never said that that was okay. I use Vistaprint for printing stationery and things, my Christmas cards. I've been using that service for 20 years, right? Doing my annual calendar and our Christmas cards and postcards for art shows that I've had and things. But I never said, oh yeah, I want Vistaprint to do my website too. I never said that. I got a notification. Vistaprint is taking over your web service, but it was only for that site. It wasn't for all of them. So then it was like twice as much money for my domain. It's been twice as much money now for my domain name hosting through Vistaprint than it was through FreeWebs. And so I don't know. But then that changed. It changed all the timestamps. I can't access all of the files. And, IT, while they have been friendly and pleasant, they have not really given me any answers. Like, I've had my website changed by somebody other than myself. So there's somebody else who has accessed my website on numerous occasions, removed things, switched things around. There were pages that I had made invisible, right, that were put back on, and it's just like, why am I not allowed to have a website? Why am I not allowed to have a blog? Why am I not allowed to sell my artwork? Why can't I publish a book? Like, why? I guess just because somebody doesn't like me. If somebody doesn't like me, or is it because of my last name and women in that family aren't allowed to be anything unless you're a teacher or a doctor? Omar's father, he's what, as long as I was teaching, that was okay. And when I wanted to, he asked me when he was dying, he's like, why don't you go to medical school? Why don't you be a doctor? And I'm like, because I really don't want to be a doctor. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the politics of healthcare in that way, working with the politics of healthcare. Why is that why is teaching and working in nursing or being a doctor, why is that the only thing acceptable for a woman to do? I'm told many times, oh, that's not something a woman can do. That's a man's job. Meanwhile, like stuff that I've done on my own has all been appropriated. Hey, 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 good boy. So, yeah. Are you working, Larissa? Are you working? Yes, I work all the goddamn time. I do lots and lots of work. No, nobody pays me. They just steal. Right? And nobody gives a shit. I look at the work that I've had taken. It's like there was one of my dances, choreography from one of my dances was appropriated in a Macy Gray video, and it was offensive. The way it was taken and used was really offensive, really personally offensive, and especially since that bitch can't even sing. And hey, and I had choreography from another dance video that was used by a Japanese dance troupe. Like, that was a big major production. Where is it? There it is. Through the years, like when I had my jewelry business, I had a number of my designs stolen and used, right? But nobody wanted to buy them from me, or very few people would buy from me. And it just hurts. My whole life has been like that. I felt gypped. Ooh. That's what that word means. Swindled. Stolen from. We don't all live that way. We don't. No more than every black guy with an earring is a gangster, right? Maybe it's because my family background has mixed ethnic heritage. I'm an American. I'm an American. I was born in this country. Wow. I was born within the geological borders of the United States of America. I question what our country is these days, because this is not the country I was born in. From that perspective, right? My necklace and earrings today. So I really like these beads. They're really interesting. I bought them at big round ones, the glass ones. They are glass. They're very vitreous, low temp, low tech handmade glass beads. I bought them at the Gem and Mineral Show at the Santa Rosa Fairgrounds. He's barking with the ball in his mouth. Like a mute and a trumpet. So yeah, so these are Maasai. They're Maasai beads. And then the little glass ones, those are Japanese seed beads. But these feel really neat. Like the guy I bought them from was telling me about, like going and meeting with the Maasai people and buying them and watching them be made, like watching the beads be made, and how like glass is interesting. So like lower temperature than when you mix and batch for blowing, right? These are Lampworked, and they're Lampworked. He said it was really interesting that they were Lampworked on reeds and things, and just that the reed would burn away, and that it cooled faster, that the glass cooled faster and was more vitreous, because it was made using local minerals and things that had a lower melting temperature than what like clear glass or whatever that you see in Murano glass or whatever in Italy. It comes out of the or other glass fabrications when you have a big furnace. So it was all done over fires that were built and stoked. Yeah, really interesting. He said it was a really interesting process, right? And I thought about, like, man, you make an accident when you're doing that and you burn yourself. Wow. Glass is interesting. Glass was invented in Egypt, and it was invented because the alchemists were trying to make turquoise, because there was trade war along the Silk Route and they couldn't get turquoise from Persia, right? So they were trying to make turquoise for jewelry and spiritual use or whatever. And in that process, they made something called faience. And so all those little disc beads that you see on the King Tut jewelry and any of those exhibits or things from that time period, that's faience. Most of it's faience, not turquoise. And it's the earliest form of glass. It's just interesting. I like history. I do. Anyway, we'll watch the basketballs tonight. Try not to even think about it. We'll watch the basketballs. What am I going to make for dinner? Omar said he wants a Caesar salad, and I have fake chicken nuggets in the freezer, plant-based chicken nuggets. Put them in the air fryer. That's what he wants for dinner tonight. So, last night we had barbecue. It was too hot in the house to cook. Meow. Have a good day.